everybody, my name is Carol Mack. This tutorial will discuss formal authorizations. A signed document can be used to disclose any kind of PHI. The federal rule for authorized uses and disclosures of PHI is Section 164.508. States have different methods of authorizing disclosures of medical information. California's law is Civil Code 5611. State law can be more stringent than HIPAA as long as it isn't contrary to HIPAA. More stringent means the law provides greater access to PHI or affords better privacy protection. California Evidence Code permits lawyers to obtain copies of their clients' medical records. The attorney must submit a letter and the client's authorization to the provider. The client's authorization must comply with federal and state law. The HIPAA regulation for authorizations has three parts. The basic presumption is that no PHI may be disclosed without a valid authorization. Disclosure of psychotherapy notes always requires a signed authorization, no exceptions. Marketing requires an authorization with minor exceptions if the provider communicates with the patient face-to-face or if the provider gives a promotional item of nominal value. The sale of PHI always requires an authorization. A valid authorization must be consistent with the law and must contain certain language. An authorization that's expired, revoked, or has missing or false information is defective. An authorization must not be compound unless it involves research. In that case, the subject's consent may be combined with the authorization. A provider may not withhold treatment if a patient refuses to sign an authorization. A patient's revocation must be in writing. Policies and procedures for the authorization process must be documented. Authorizations must contain 6 core elements. The patient must describe their request in a specific and meaningful way. The authorization must identify who is making the request and who should receive the documents. The statement of purpose can simply say the patient requests copies of their records. The authorization must have an expiration date. In California, an event is not sufficient to trigger expiration. It must have a date. The document must be signed by the patient or the patient's representative. If a representative signs the document, the authorization must describe the representative's authority to sign. The authorization must include statements regarding patient rights. The authorization must use plain language. A patient is entitled to have a copy of the authorization. In California, an authorization may be in handwriting. If the authorization is printed, it must be no smaller than 14-point font. Now we'll examine PHI authorizations in the town of Single Peak. The Pruitt Medical Group sits on the corner of the plaza. It's a busy practice with 2 doctors and a chiropractor. Pete, the office manager, recently quit his job. He took another job on the other side of the plaza at the computer store owned by his friend Guy.
Pete, I'm so glad you decided to join me. I want you to take over the photocopy services.
Should I start by doing some marketing?
Not yet. First, you have to learn rules of the business. A lot of our business involves medical information obtained through authorizations. The authorization document must be valid under California law and HIPAA regulations. You have to go to the county clerk's office to get registered as a professional photocopier. California law requires county clerks to keep a list of professional photocopiers.
Pete obtained a certificate from the clerk and soon he was talking to his first client.
Hello, this is Pete.
Hi, this is Lois Lawyer. Would you come over to my office, please? I need you to photocopy medical records for my clients.
Pete went over to Lois Lawyer's office.
Hi, Lois. I'm at your service.
Come on in, Pete.
What do you need?
I need help with 2 cases. Sister Agnes came in last month and I made her estate plan, and then yesterday I got a phone call from her niece. Agnes was admitted to the hospital. Her niece is taking care of her. She tried to get copies of Agnes's medical records, but the hospital wouldn't accept the niece's signature because she didn't have authority to act as a personal representative.
Does Sister Agnes have mental problems?
No, not hardly. She calls me on FaceTime.
Do you want me to visit Agnes at the hospital?
Yes, I prepared an authorization for Agnes's signature. This form was approved by the California legislature for lawyers to get copies of their clients' medical records.
Good. I'll take care of it.
Okay, now the next case is workers' comp. The client is waitress Wanda.
I heard about Wanda's accident at the coffee house.
Oh, you did? Well, anyway, we need a copy of Dr. Kramer's records and Dr. Pruitt's initial report.
This authorization is really short. It doesn't look right.
Because it's workers' comp, not HIPAA. It conforms to the civil code.
So you want me to copy all of Dr. Pruitt's records?
No, this case is tricky. As you probably know, Dr. Kramer is friendly with Wanda. He's her boyfriend and her chiropractor at the Pruitt Medical Group. Last month, Wanda saw Priscilla Pruitt. She had female problems. Now, we don't want that gynecology exam to get copied into the workers' comp file.
So we follow the minimum necessary rule.
No, the minimum necessary rule is HIPAA. California doesn't have such a rule. So I created 2 authorizations, one for Dr. Kramer and a separate one for Dr. Pruitt. And then I wrote a cover letter to Dr. Pruitt asking her to segregate the gynecology records from the workers' comp. I want you to call me right away if there's any trouble with this.
That's fine. I'll follow your instructions and I'll take care of this right away.
HIPAA authorizations are governed by federal and state law. Providers must comply with both. Authorizations for workers' compensation are exclusively governed by state law. Thanks for joining me in this tutorial. Now I want you to meet my colleagues, Roman Diaz, President of Touchstone Compliance, and Karen Darnall of Darnall Law Office.
We made these tutorials to help you learn about HIPAA and California law. For individual attention, go to our contact page. You can send us a message or schedule a consultation.
And I'm Roman Diaz, President of Touchstone Compliance. Our online tools and expert services provide everything you need to successfully address HIPAA compliance. We identify vulnerabilities, provide a thorough risk analysis, and assist with mitigation plans, policies and procedures, and staff training.